Hello everyone and welcome to today's webcast, Fixed Mobile Convergence. Are you ready to transform your business? And today's event is sponsored by Vodafone Global Enterprise and Information Week and broadcast by UBM Tech. I'm Michael Krieger from Information Week and I'll be your moderator today. We just got a few housekeeping announcements before we begin. First of all, this is an interactive event and we'd love for you to participate. You can submit your questions anytime during this webcast. Just type your question into the Ask a Question text area to the right of the player window and then click the Submit button. At this time, we recommend you also disable your pop-up blockers. We're going to have a couple of polls today. We'd really like you to participate in those polls when you see them pop up on your screen. Please take a moment to respond. Your responses are important to us and help us make better events. The slides will advance automatically throughout this event, and you can also download a copy of them by clicking on the Download Slides button located at the bottom of the toolbar. And if you're experiencing any technical problems, just click on that Help button, or you can submit the technical question, and our live engineer will assist you. Now, let's get on with our discussion, Fixed Mobile Convergence. Are you ready to transform your business? We're very fortunate to have with us today two outstanding speakers. First up, we'll hear from Barnaby Atkinson, who is the head of Fixed and UC Sales for Vodafone Global Enterprise Americas. He is a long-standing member in the communications industry with over 24 years in mobile and fixed organizations, always at the forefront of evangelizing technologies in support of business benefit. He now runs a team driving converged communications for Vodafone Global Enterprise Americas. Also with us is JJ Juan, head of Enterprise Innovation at Vodafone Global Enterprise, which is the division of Vodafone managing the communication needs for the largest multinational corporations worldwide. Based in their Silicon Valley offices, JJ drives the engagement with multinational customers and strategic partners to implement the next evolution of technology and mobility services that will transform their business strategy and growth. This involves understanding how the business and the life of global customers can change in the near future, and create together a faster path for that transformation through the use of technology and mobility services. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us today. And now, without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to today's first presenter, Barnaby Atkinson. Barnaby, take it away.
Hello, and good morning and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Barnaby Atkinson, and I'm the head of communications sales here at Vodafone Global Enterprise for the Americas. We have a great agenda for you today, with really full hour of useful and actionable information. We're going to start with some trend information, what's driving multinationals to look at converged communications, what benefits to expect, and why is this happening now. We'll take a look at how Vodafone Global Enterprise helps your customers to take advantage of convergence as a step along the journey to take a strategic advantage. And we're very fortunate today to have JJ. His name's Juan Jose Juan, but we all call him JJ. He'll talk to you about how companies on the leading edge of communications based in innovation are building new enterprise models and revenue streams with our help. He'll also make a special offer today regarding innovation workshops for qualifying firms. And because some of you may not know Vodafone Global Enterprise or just know Vodafone, we'll take a few minutes to provide you with some information and an overview of ourselves. We're going to start today with covering trends, phase, and consolidation. But we're going to start with a poll, and I'm going to hand you back to our moderator to take you through the poll.
Thanks very much, Barnaby. And that first polling question of the day is, does your organization have a fixed mobile convergence strategy? So please take a moment to respond to the poll and let us know whether you have no strategy, have a strategy in place but no implementation commitment, have a strategy and will be implementing during 2013, or do you have a strategy and will be implementing by year-end 2014? And, you know, Barnaby, is this something that we're just starting to see now? Is convergence happening? What do you see when you talk to your customers?
We have a mixed estate still. We have some customers who are on the journey. Some haven't started. Some are still trying to maintain their business in the current environment. So there is very much a mixed estate out there. There are customers that we have helped, and we'll come to that in a little while's time, along that journey. But it's certainly picking up. The trend is in the right direction for some of the real business benefits that come with collaboration and unified comms.
And looking at our attendees today, it seems like, wow, almost 60% of them have just, or maybe just are in that starting point. They don't have a strategy in place. Do you find that that jives with what you're seeing out there in the real world? Is this, two-thirds of us still not really have a strategy in place?
So the trend we're definitely seeing is the poll that I'm seeing at the moment so far is showing about 6% have the strategy that will be implemented in 2014. I'm seeing more than that from talking to customers, to be honest. 60% with no strategy is not the trend we're seeing out there in the marketplace. If we compare it to our consolidation reference back in 2011, which we're going to come to in a second, we had a 12% rating there on our customers. So it's a very interesting poll to show there's no strategy, and as you said, about 60%.
Well, I think that's why they're here, is to help develop that strategy. So all of you in attendance today, hopefully you'll walk out of here today a little bit closer to formulating that strategy. So let me turn it back over to you, Barnaby.
Great, thank you very much indeed. So I just want to relate that back to the poll we did 2 years ago, nearly, just under 2 years ago, where we polled a number of our customers. Now our customer base has changed, and our base has broadened as far as who VG look after. I'm going to come to looking at VG in a bit more detail. But the trend is definitely that customers are starting to implement their strategies that they have. There are quite a few out there on multinationals with strategies. Some are quite mature, but there are still many out there that are on those first rungs of the ladder, and we are seeing some real benefits by working with those customers. And we'll come to some interesting points around stage by stage and seeing some business benefits at each stage. Okay, so we know that there are many issues affecting multinationals in today's fast-changing world. I'd like to share with you 5 core trends that we're seeing, which are increasingly affecting the productivity and growth of our customers around the world. And I'm hoping that, and I'm sure that many of you will reflect on this and agree with me. The first point around globally diverse, or dispersed, should I say, workforce, is we're seeing the effects of a more mobile and more independent workforce in the enterprise. In fact, IDC predicts that the Western European mobile worker population will amount to about 139 million people in 2016, so in 3 years' time. And that's up from 97 million in 2010. So it's quite a big jump. Point 2 around emerging markets, which is very interesting. Current forecast puts China will be the world's largest economy at some point between 2015 and 2020. There's massive growth in Africa and other Asia-Pac economies as well to add to the changing global landscape. Some very interesting facts there. Around consumerization, I mean, how many of us in the room are increasingly pressurized by employees to work on their own devices rather than the one chosen by us as a company? It's a phenomenon which is resulting in about 73% of global corporations having to allow their employees to use some form of personal phone, whether it's personal liable or whether it's just the hardware that they picked up and they want to use it. Most commonly people see iPhones.
Yeah, I would say, Barney, that bring your own device genie is out of the bottle. I don't think it's going back anytime soon. And let me remind everyone, you can submit your questions anytime to Barnaby. We'll get to as many as we can after the presentation. Go ahead. So in relation to the consumerization, can we stop this? Should we? And what's the impact on either one of those strategies? Point 4 is around managing complexity. By 2015, there will be 3.7 billion connected devices worldwide. And in just under 5 years, this jumps to an estimated 12 billion. And this drives increased complexity, cost, and security concerns. If you add to this the fact that there are at least 50 billion machines, that includes devices, but machines, which can be connected today in the machine-to-machine world, the complexity of running information networks will and has increased. And lastly, there's constant pressure to run your business efficiently, competitively and securely, whilst reducing costs. And this is a major factor to multinational companies. So how do you stay ahead of the game? Some of you may have seen a slide similar to this before,
but there is a confluence of technological improvements which are having a profound impact on our business operations and our ambitions. Cloud data, or as I'm going to refer to it as information, because data to me is an old word, it's all about access of information. So the cloud resident data and applications, when combined with a mobile workforce and the ubiquitous communications, are changing forever the way the businesses are done. We've spoken about the genie out of the bottle regarding the bring your own devices. Well, the same comes to communications. People expect communications everywhere and anywhere. Access information and create new ways of serving your customers is a good result. Customers and employees increasingly expect innovation born of technology. Now, information is the coin of the realm, using a very British term. Accessing it, enhancing it, reporting it, and reacting to it. Effective movement and utilization of this information will separate the winners from the losers on the global stage. If I look at myself, making it a little bit more personal, my identity will change for the better. No longer will I have numerous numbers, and trust me, I do, and that's not just because I work for a mobile operator. I have fixed line numbers and various other mobile numbers and IP addresses, sorry. If you want to contact me at work, it will be barnaby.atkinson@vodafone.com. And then you'll choose the means you want to communicate to me by, and that will be by voice, voicemails, visual voicemails, video, email, text, and IM. The context awareness of the service allows you to see the preference, and that will show you my availability. And so it will become much simpler for me to just say to people, contact me, and I will show my preference, and they'll be able to do that. Now, users are driving the way we work, and with greater influence. We may not like it, we may try and control it. Information is the context for delivery of many enhanced services. So this is an interesting piece of work by Gartner on user ecosystems. If you look at the information side, so information is generally on the hosted server. It's a place where information is stored and delivered from. If we're looking at mobile's key as well. 50% or more of the workforce are no longer solely at their desk as they work. Social links people to their work and each other in new and unexpected ways. Let's look at things like Facebook as an example, but transform that into the working environment. Social applications transform work inside the organization as well as out. And cloud. Cloud is also a server-centric capability, but it's driven by a connected to and always available ubiquitous network. Whether that is voice, data mobile, data fixed, it doesn't matter. It's always connected. So, people are driving the convergence. The shift of the control is to users, beyond just consumerization, to reinvention of what it means to do business. Organizations need to build systems and networks to support the way people want to and do currently work. And agility is a key for global organizations, not to be taken over by more agile players. The converged global network is a way to reach new markets, customers, and engage employees as far as employee retention and getting the best out of those employees, and most importantly, to gain customers' confidence in a way that advances the business requirements. Now, this is a busy slide, okay, and you're not expected to be able to read it or follow it in the detail, so I'm going to give you a summary. You'll get a copy of this documentation anyway to look at in further detail. But the key points here are, although the outsourcing drivers are not so different today as they have been, the underlying causes are new. Business is becoming remarkably more global, both physically and virtually, while the number of ways that employees, customers, and suppliers access the network is exploding. Combine that with the distributed organization's demand for new tools like video conferencing and other realizations of unified comms, and you have an imperative to rethink how you acquire and manage communication services to support the multinational business. On the right side, you see a chart of one multinational corporation's path to a flexible and what we would call an adaptive sourcing model for global. So what's their ultimate goal? You probably can't see this, so I'll read it out to you. Their aim is to be a world-class, agile and business-centric sourcing and vendor management organisation that helps IT stay aligned with business priorities, providing users seamless access from any device to any part of the economy. So the key takeaway, the future of telecom services sourcing will definitely change dramatically. There'll be greater reliance on service providers to manage increasingly global telecom estates in support of global operations. It will become harder to manage technology during the next 5 years, that's for sure. Mobility and video will drive the need for coordinated global sourcing. Procurement becomes much more of a strategic function, aligning the business functions, so IT and service providers. Sources becomes adaptive and flexible, requiring service providers to offer more transparency and clarity, granularity and flexibility.
And let me remind everyone, keep your questions coming. We'll get to as many of them as we can after the presentation. Go ahead.
So, let me talk about Vodafone and Vodafone Global Enterprise. Some of you may have heard of Vodafone, but maybe not Vodafone Global Enterprise. So let me give you a brief history and some key pieces of information for you. 27 years ago, Vodafone started in the UK, and in 1985 were the first mobile operator making the first mobile call. From then, Vodafone have had high growth ambitions and continue to grow exponentially. 12 years ago, Vodafone started to grow through international acquisition. And as a consequence, we are now the world's largest mobile operator. But we're hungry to do more. With our assets and our capabilities, we want to become a total telecoms provider for all of our customers throughout the globe. In the US, you will know us through our 45% shareholding in Verizon Wireless. In India, we are the #1 brand of the nation, and we have other brand recognitions in many other countries. We are, in fact, the 9th most valued brand, and that's without any branding within the United States. We have approximately 14,000 stores globally and have a banking services with a service called M-Pesa in Africa. Our footprint where we can service our customers is immense, covering 74 countries for mobile and over 200 for fixed. Now, as Vodafone has grown its business internationally, we've become an increasingly attractive partner to big multinational companies. However, initially we were not as easy to do business with as customers needed, particularly on an international basis. So, 7 years ago, Aaron Sarin, our global CIO at the time, got together with the CIOs of a number of major multinationals and asked them what they wanted to see improved when doing business with Vodafone, and also what they wanted us to do to address those areas. So as a result, Vodafone Global Enterprise was formed in 2006 under the guidance of Nick Jeffries, the establishing CEO. So what was the result? Well, our customers spoke very loudly and very clearly to us. As you can see here, there are plenty of areas of improvement or pain points, which is reflected in the industry overall. But because we asked a question, our customers responded, and we took the edge and lead in delivering Vodafone Global Enterprise. So the mission of Vodafone Global Enterprise was simply to address the key pain points of our customers and highlighted these areas that Vodafone Globalize was specifically set up to address. As you can see from these various pain points, too many points of contact, unclear and complex access to support, driving consistency and simplicity for our customers was key. So once VG addressed the initial customer challenges, we evolved our focus to further add value to our multinational customers. So we can help you in 3 key business issues. The personal productivity of your employees on a global basis, this is. The way you manage your overall business, once again on a global basis, and your business growth agenda. Our specific propositions you can see from here that tie into the productivity, management and growth. So from the productivity point of view, the idea of having anytime, anywhere collaborative working for your employees and company policies that fully embrace flexible working. And from a business management point of view, consolidated approach to telecoms management with simplified billing and contract terms. A single global view with real-time control of communication spend. And from a business growth perspective, connected business allowing innovative offerings and new service revenues for you. Real-time customer and product information with smart marketing. So the following slides will demonstrate in a bit more detail the journey we can help you go through and show you how we can deliver value in each of these business areas. So, our vision I mentioned before is to be the leading global communication provider for our customers. I'd like to give you a brief update or a brief introduction to Cable and Wireless, which you may or may not know about. Vodafone Group acquired the acquisition of Cable and Wireless worldwide sometime last year, which fully went through this year in April. And the acquisition of C&W, as I refer to it, has provided us with a portfolio of services that complement our current offerings and offer our customers, you, greater geographical coverage as well as deeper capabilities. I use the analogy, it fits like a glove, their services with our current services. This allows us to offer our customers a total communications service. So the sum is most definitely greater than the parts in this acquisition for both our multinational customers and Vodafone. Now the pace of change is immense, and as you can see from this chart, around tomorrow will be here sooner than you think. And having a partner to evolve with who can support your total communication strategy is where VGE or Vodafone Global Enterprise wants to be. So if I can hand back to the moderator as we move into our next poll.
That would be absolutely great, Barnaby. And so there's our second polling question of the day. Wake up, everybody. If you're sitting on your screens just doodling, now it's time for you to do something, and let's respond to our polling question. We want to know if you could describe the 5-year strategic view of telecommunications at your firm. Is it a cost of doing business? Is that how you think of telecommunications, that you need to buy at the best price? Is it a tool that can help make the business more efficient and effective? Is it an asset that yields competitive advantage to your global operations? Or is it a driver of new revenue streams and differentiating capability? Please let us know which one of those is closest to the way you feel about telecommunications in your organization. And, you know, I have to say, you know, Barnaby, listening to your presentation so far, I mean, the way communications have evolved in the past few years, and, you know, we talked about the challenges in bring your own device and just the way people want to communicate, all the different methods you have of communicating yourself. It's just absolutely critical, I think, to enterprises today to have to view communications as something that's going to help your bottom line. I mean, I've got to think that's the way people are driving. Let's take a look, though, and see what our attendees say. And here's the results so far of the poll. Thank you for participating. And, yeah, over half of us, just over half, view communications as a tool that can help make the business more efficient and effective. Is that the preferred view, and is that the way that you're seeing it out there? Barnaby?
Sorry, I was just reviewing those quickly. Apologies.
No worries.
So yeah, absolutely. The market is very much in a transition, and there will still be a view that a strategic view of telecommunications, you know, is a cost of doing business. There will always be companies that do that, and that I suspect will continue. The change is definitely that they see it, and I refer to this in, you know, I'll come to this again in my next set of slides, but you know, the converged communications will allow our customers to see communication as a productive business capability driving growth rather than a cost burden. And those that embrace that will see it as an asset, and those that don't will continue to see it as a burden and as an overhead.
Okay, terrific. I want to thank everyone for participating. Remind you to submit your questions at any time for Barnaby and JJ, and I'm going to turn it back to you now.
Many thanks. And thanks for moving the slide on. Okay, so as I mentioned before, the communications should not be a burden to our customers. They should be there to drive business growth. And this chart here clearly shows the aims of a well-delivered communication strategy, where customers can keep ahead of the game and become an innovator. And this is where you see money and revenue coming into the company rather than it being a cost out. So our propositions are linked to various stages in this journey. We start with a builder. This is about getting the foundation right and consolidating. And our propositions that we have around this are around helping them operate more effectively and actually operate globally. So do customers want to procure regionally or globally, or just country by country? And is this around global fixed and voice agreements? And what about global WANs, internet connectivity and MPLS networks? The implementer, creating efficiencies. So working the way you want, working on whichever device you want, using enterprise mobility tools, tablets, device management, and unified communications. And that's using Vodafone's OneNet service, OneNet for Global Enterprise, which is a UC platform that Vodafone provides on a global basis. Providing areas such as single number reach, full fixed to mobile convergence, and adding in all the areas of collaboration that you as a customer would like to see, from instant messaging through to video and conferencing. The integrator, basically contributing to the business, helping you manage your communications, global Wi-Fi, global fixed and mobile voice as an integration, telephone expense management. And the last stage, the innovator. And in the innovator, this is about keeping you ahead of the game and driving the business opportunities. So things like machine to machine, where we spoke about 50 billion connected devices. You want to know where your vehicle is, where your container is, how your computer systems are working, how your medical devices are working in the home of your patients. Anything along those lines, along with some vertical market applications, how we can help you as a customer and as a partner take things to market to drive those revenues. So it's important to note that the achievement you get as you go further up the curve actually takes less time to deliver recognizable benefits to the business. And this is because you're much more sophisticated and agile as a business, and the ability to change and adapt allows you to adapt to new opportunities and new pieces in the marketplace. So let's take one focus of the first step of that around consolidation, or we've called it the builder. In this early stage, and we've seen it before, many customers arrive here by default. And it's usually through a cost-saving exercise. But without some planning and understanding of the communication strategy, the true value will not be realized by the business overall. Now, we look to help you understand what you can achieve at this first stage and support you through the business change at your pace. So, once again, we go back to what you, the customers, are saying. So the voice of the customer. So what are the drivers which underpin this building stage? So based on this, your own reflections and the reality of multiple national contracts, fixed and mobile inventory managed locally leading to no central visibility, different tariff plans, currencies, contract and end dates leading to no leverage, different types of devices ordered per country leading to no central control, and the lack of clarity around corporate policies leading to non-compliance. So the journey up the value curve is unique for every enterprise, and we recognise that. But we also recommend that there are several steps that any organisation can take to make their communication more integrated, flexible and convenient. And importantly, delivering incremental value along the way. Because we do not expect you to jump from disparate contracts to a fully fledged cloud-based service in one step. There are benefits to have along the way. So the first step, I would say, would be around evaluating what your existing communication spend is, and to gain visibility and to a certain extent control of your complete telecoms estate across multiple suppliers, services and countries. Next, we need to design together how you'll get to your final destination. And then you start the consolidation of fixed and mobile communications to reduce the cost and simplify the management. You'll then look to transition your fixed and mobile communications to maybe a managed service to get better control and access, and changing maybe some of the variables into some more predictable cost burdens. And then lastly, you'll look to transform your business, which will allow you to realise your future estate, which will integrate all forms of communication. And this includes desktop, social media, collaboration, presence and conferencing. So we can help you plan your adaptation of these technologies to support your business. And Vodafone Global Enterprise is uniquely positioned to help customers realise the benefits of unified communications with users at the core. So as I mentioned, there should be a phased approach, and definitely the need for consolidation, as this next slide has shown, from much more of a visual impact from what I just discussed. So from the as-is landscape to the to-be. So as I mentioned, there should be a phased approach with incremental savings and savings milestones along the way. And this looks at the first few stages from builder upwards. So the idea is to provide some guaranteed savings at the first phase, and that will allow you then to move to the next stage, which will give you some operational efficiencies, and then moving up to the business transformation, which will simplify the user experience and reduce your overall costs. So at these various stages, we can provide tools to support the business plan. We have a product and a service called Start, which is a free tool that can quickly provide you with an ROI tool on savings to let you know whether you're in the ballpark to continue along that path. We have things such as PBX Inventory Manager, tactical information about your current estate, Unified Cost Maturity Assessment, which takes a strategic and consultative look at your current telecoms infrastructure. And we're offering an in-depth assessment that enables you to gain complete control and visibility of your telecom and mobile infrastructure. So, trying to move my slide on. So in summary, our aim is to be consistent and relevant to you and your needs, wherever and wherever you require it. We're doing it today and can help your business become more agile. As you can see from the slide here, I'll reiterate and I'll do the cardinal rule of reading some of this out because I think it's quite important. Being a global player with local roots. We have local service management, local account management, and local environments in every country. And that is the crunch of why we're very successful at delivering our service to our customers, while we can take some global view around user experience and consistency of service. We have capabilities in EMEA, APAC, and the Americas. And reiteration again, global and local help desks and service delivery to our customers. I mentioned that we're already doing it, so I'd like to just quickly go over my final piece around a customer case study. So the customer location is across Europe, multiple countries across Europe. Company size is about 18,000 users, should I say, and it's in the gas and manufacturing side of things. So the requirement from the customer was that they had no central governance of any European fixed or mobile services, so it was all local office locations and decisions. Telephony was being managed inefficiently, with separate vendors across multiple European territories and an absence of central control. The customer themselves commissioned an audit, and from that audit it was understood that the fixed and mobile side of things in their technology silos was underperforming. So the customer wanted to bring fixed and mobile in line with its other areas, and so they issued an RFI. Vodafone responded to that RFI and provided them with a dedicated project management office which was designed to be scalable and to work alongside the customer. The new system will channel responsibility for the mobility and communications management through the customer's CIO for the first time. This gave a much better improvement around the governance and visibility, and we provided measurement tools for the customer to see how things were not only going and how they continue to improve from that perspective. And the end result was the customer saw a saving of around 31% across both the fixed and mobile estate. There was also improved governance, as I mentioned, with central management, and this was through a prime contractor, which reduces duplication. So what's the next step for that? Well, they have a visibility of what their estate looks like, and it allows them to make better informed decisions about how they can best leverage the communications capabilities that are available in the marketplace. And by having that visibility, they can plan properly and they can start realizing some of those benefits. So I've reached the end of my section, and I'll hand you over to the moderator, or JJ, to continue the next section. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Barnaby and JJ. Before you begin, let me just once again remind everyone you can submit your questions at any time, and we'll get to as many of them as we can after JJ's presentation. Go ahead, JJ.
Very good, and thank you very much, and well done, Barnaby. I think you've done a very good review and overall of what evolution we're seeing with our global customers. If I have to summarize it, many companies are going from managing communications tactically by department or even by country into managing communications globally, or at least at a multinational level. And that is not just simple as extending what you have in one country. We know that the regulations and the limitations of different countries make managing communications and services at a multi-country level more complicated, but at the same time more rewarding. We're moving from just providing communications and traditional carrier services into what I call mobile IT services, device management, security, application management, managing the visibility and the cost of companies across multiple geographies. And there is one more element, which is the recent acquisition of Cable and Wireless, and other companies like Telstra in New Zealand and other geographies are providing Vodafone a global capability. That means we're no longer just a mobile-centric company. We're a company that's able to provide global communications, including the overall complexity of mobility and fixed services. So what's next? And this is where innovation comes in. We're seeing a huge amount of change happening around the users and around the companies. And just evolving with new technologies or acquisition like Cable and Wireless is not enough. We need to change the way we think, and we need to change the way we are working with our customers. So I'm going to share with you how we move from evolution to transformation, how a number of cases, a number of examples prove that applying technology and applying mobility at the core of your business, thinking into the future, can really change things today and can really change your revenues and your business strategy. How we do that? In this next slide, I just give an idea of what things do we put in action. Sorry, the next slide is a quote. I'm going to skip that one because I think we want to go specifically to the content. You can review that in the reading materials. Okay, so in this slide, you can get some summary of what kind of elements do we need to put in action to drive this innovation model. First thing is global means global. The fact that Vodafone has carrier business and traditional presence in a number of countries across Europe and our presence in North America with Verizon and across Asia Pac, it doesn't mean that many companies have a bigger presence than that. Many of our customers have presence in more than 100 countries. So we need to start to disconnect from that physical presence of being a carrier and owning networks and moving into becoming a global service provider. And then putting in action different tools and different models. So from our R&D teams and R&D offices, and I'm sitting today in our R&D office in the Silicon Valley, we have offices, similar centers in Asia, in Africa, across Europe in several locations. So by definition, being a global team with global capabilities, whatever our networks are behind. using elements like venture capital and investment brands, using even the foundation for developing projects in new markets and new economies like in Africa or in Asia, and then driving a different conversation with customers. So this is where we will end up at the end of this piece, talking about the innovation workshops, innovation forum, which are specific formats we use to drive co-creation together with customers, or what are the next generation of services. So the kind of challenges we are having to face are not just technology. This is a picture of some of the challenges many of our customers are telling us they are facing. And it's not technology, it's not 4G, 5G, it's real life challenges. It's my users are having different demands and different priorities than they had a few years ago, or at least I'm having to listen to them much more. That's the CIO voice. And it's not just bring your own device. I have the personal theory that in 3 years from now, we will not be talking too much about bring your own device, because that's only the first symptom of a bigger thing, which is choice. People, employees are asking for choice. They want to have the option to devices, applications, content, services, to be something that they not just have to accept and suffer in some cases, but they can enjoy. And this is the balance that has to be created between what the company needs to do and wants to do from the corporate and security and technology point of view, and what the end users want to do from the personal preferences and choice point of view. So as you can see in this image, it goes beyond just technology, beyond applications. It goes even to questions like who pays for what. And the situation is different in different countries because the culture is different. So bring your own device, for example, is very strong in the US because traditionally users have had a lot of influence on that. In Germany, for example, it's very, very small because the culture and even the regulation doesn't really allow it easily. So being able to create a flexible model that across different countries and different cultures creates the right balance is one of the biggest challenges and opportunities we're seeing in companies. What does that balance look like? So again, this is probably a graphical image that shows what kind of balance between IT and the traditional IT priorities and the end user priorities. And there are 100 different degrees between one side and another. What we are identifying as the real opportunity for transformation on how technology and communications is applied into companies, big or small, is to understand that balance. And this is that cycle. That red circle you have in the center of the slide, that is the cycle that needs to put in place to manage that complexity. Whatever point in that balance needs to be created. What is that cycle? Very simple. The services needs to be understood. What is available to people, to employees? What kind of services, what type of devices, what can be provided by themselves, what can be provided by the company? Who pays for what? How can things be delivered logistically, secure, configured, put in place in many different countries? Doing things in one country is relatively simple. Doing things in 70 different countries, it's very complicated. And that's what we learn through some of the global partnerships we have with multinationals across 70 and in some cases more than 100 countries. Is challenging but very rewarding when you manage to create a cycle like this that is consistent and sustainable across more than 100 different countries and cultures worldwide. So what we see here is the real simplicity, creating this balance and achieving simplicity on how to manage the policies and the communications is the real challenge, not just the communication before. The real reward of this model is future-proof. It doesn't really matter if the iPhone 5 or 6 or 7 comes to the market. The model you are creating is sustainable. In 2 or 3 years from now, you will be already prepared for that new environment. So a new challenge that appears with this complexity is how to understand what's going on with the size and the scale of these global communications keeps growing. And one radical approach we had to take here is learning from someone who knows about how to make things attractive. So we interacted with the gaming industry. We work with a number of developers who do applications for the gaming industry that are very attractive and very simple to understand. The whole objective is let's create a user experience that doesn't need to be trained, that people don't need to have a manual to understand what's going on with their communications. Let's take an example. One of our customers in the consumer goods industry has services across more than 120 countries, and we are the single global provider of those services. How can we simplify that information for the CIO, for the marketing director, for any of the hundreds of different managers in that company across any countries, in a way that they could understand intuitively what is going on? So taking that challenge, and I went working in a very different approach to the traditional development that we've done in Vodafone in the past, we developed an example of what an application this area looks like. This is just one of the screens of that application. It is at the end a reporting application, but it doesn't look like a traditional reporting application. It's much more like a dashboard, like a video game dashboard, where a CIO could be able to understand what's going on with their services, communications, applications, security, orderings, SLAs at a global level, or at a country level, or just at the department level. So this is a good example to how applying different way of thinking, applying radical learnings from other industries like gaming can really transform communications at a global level. And again, just keep in mind, now with the acquisitions of cable and wireless and all the fixed and transport infrastructure that Vodafone brings now, this is extended beyond just mobility and mobile telephony. This is extending to broadband, this is extended to base communications, again, globally. So we're really very, very excited to what's coming next because of the opportunities that this is bringing. So what else? What other examples can we show on applying different thinking to achieve transformation into companies? A very interesting thing is the whole world of big data. Analytics, we call it. I don't really like big data, it's just smart data. Data applied in real time to really change your business. So this is an example of some of the insights that we can get just from the information from the mobile network. The mobile network was designed already 30 years ago, or even more, to handle a lot of information in real time. So each one of our towers now at any time, how many people are connected, how long have they been in that area, basically where they come from, where they go. Being very careful in the whole privacy aspect, just keeping the information at the load level across a city like London. These are some of the learnings and the applications that we're already working on with different companies that can be created around this. For example, advertisement, street advertisement, outdoors advertisement can be adapted to be real time. You can change the message, you can change the content depending on how many people are coming through the street, and the mobile network is telling that information in real time across multiple countries, by the way. Footfall analysis and footfall interaction from the different shops or different companies based there. Again, keep it at an agnostic level. You cannot interact with individual users because you cannot identify them. But if that is linked with loyalty programs with some of these companies, then it can go deeper. And understanding even the traffic. The city of London, with this example, this real project we work with, can understand what is the real-time situation of the traffic, street by street, corner by corner, in a much more accurate way than any systems of cameras or police in the street for that specific objective. Good. Let's see another example, a similar one, and this is a real example that we're very proud of this because this is the one that probably opened the whole implications in the industry about analytics and big data from mobile networks. With TomTom, the navigation company, already a few years ago, we started a project to check how information from the mobile network could be applied to do real-time traffic management. Basically, recommendation or advice into traffic problems and give you the best route with real-time accurate information. That was started in Netherlands, where TomTom was created and TomTom operates as a HQ. And because of the success of that project, then it was extended all across Europe to all the countries where Vodafone operates and TomTom have their business. So that is now the biggest real-time traffic service out there in the market as a business service, and that has already impacted TomTom revenues by several millions a year in revenues. Okay, so that's a good example of how a company can transform their revenues with this model. And let's say one more example into how this real-time information can be applied to any company across any industries. This is a real example in how we learn in our own HQ, in our own offices in Newbury in the UK, on understanding the footfall analysis, understanding the movements of people across the different buildings, across the different offices, and being able to optimize, for example, how many people are attending in our restaurants, or how many people are attending, or how we have different occupations in our parkings around the HQ, or ultimately connecting this with the machine-to-machine world and being able to adapt the heating and the air condition of the different buildings based on how many people are in the buildings or how many are coming to the buildings, because we know how far they are, how they are coming through the highways, is there a traffic problem over there. So really it changes completely how business can be run externally to their own customers or internally for their own efficiency. Good. So I think that those examples give some good ideas on what this transformation means and how mobility, information, and communications at a global level can be applied radically to change business. This involves, the way we drive this involves combining internal and external thinking. So this is the model in which we drive this innovation and transformation cycle. There is a big area called customer innovation that involves the innovation workshops and innovation formats that we drive all around the world in locations across many different regions. This is influencing our strategy, and the learnings from those sessions are driving what our next generation of products are going to be. And of course, internal innovation, keeping ourselves fresh. And I would recommend to everyone in the audience, pay a lot of attention to your own users and to your own employees. They are usually the best source of innovation and opportunities for your own business. So as a summary, we have been identifying and creating with a number of companies across any industries and different parts of the world examples of transformation, examples of co-creation in which in many cases we create new services together with them that change those industries. Our objective is to keep expanding this model and do it more and more. So for everyone viewing the audience, if you think that this opportunity of taking communications and technology beyond just as a tool and making it a transformation opportunity, we're fully open for that. We're open for checking and arranging one of these innovation workshops with your company, or getting you to attend one of our regional forums or industry forums that we are arranging constantly around the world. So I'm going to close that piece with this my piece and bring it back to the moderator.
Thank you very much, JJ. I want to thank everyone in attendance also. And now let's get to our Q&A. We don't have much time. We've only got time for a couple of questions. So let me remind you, you can keep submitting them. The ones we don't get to, we'll get a written response after the event. I'm going to start off, Barnaby, with a question from Robert, who wants to know, how do we get these free tools like Start?
Yes, great. Thank you for the question. It's very easy. There's a number of ways you can get it. You can contact your account manager within Vodafone Global Enterprise, and if you don't know who that is, you can leave your contact details with us here, and we'll find out for you who it is, and we'll provide you with the introduction to that and go forward. Or, as will be displayed a short while time, you can send me an email, and I will engage with you, or one of my team will engage with you, and we'll take it forward from there. It's very simple from that perspective.
And as we mentioned, that would be barnaby.atkinson at Vodafone.com. So go ahead and send that if you'd like to. This one comes from Raghu, and Raghu would like to know, regulations in the U.S. don't allow dual SIM phones? How do you think convergence can happen, Barnaby?
So there's a number of different answers to this depending on the approach, really. So convergence will happen ultimately in the cloud. So the end device will become just the end device. It will be connected to the network. And where you would normally see a connection and a subscription, you will still see that, but it will be on a per person basis rather than a per device. So you'll cease to see a cost per device and just a cost per subscription for you. So for instance, I could have 3 or 4 different devices, and I might have 2 or 3 different numbers, one for personal, one for business, another one for a different part of business. And that will come into the cloud, and the cloud will deliver to the device that I set that I want to. So that's one answer. and I'm sure we can come up with several different ways of doing it. It sounds like there's a specific requirement underneath that, so it'll be good to maybe pick that up.
Okay, terrific. Thanks for that. Keep the questions coming. This one comes from Evan. And JJ, Evan wants to know, how do you show value in a business where customers are always just seeking the lowest unit costs?
That's an excellent question, and a challenge that we always have, even internally. We need to create a balance between the short term and the mid-term. Okay, long term I think no longer exists. Mid-term, we need to keep very clear what is the strategy of the company, not just technology. Okay, what is the strategy of the company, and involve the areas that drive that strategy. So where we see a real transformation in that conversation is when we're able to involve not just IT or not just procurement and finance, but the business units, the marketing director, the sales director, the strategy director into the conversation. Because what happened then is we find the opportunities that are not just going to provide some savings on some kind of quick wins on cost in 6 months, but the ones that are going to transform how the company is moving, so really bring a big cost impact more into the 9-12 months distance, and especially finding revenue increase. The tampon example I brought before is a good example. By thinking radically different, they increase already the revenues by a big percentage because they created a completely new area of business and revenues. I hope that helps.
Okay, if you need clarification, Evan, go ahead and submit it. Another question to follow up. This one comes from Lloyd. Lloyd wants to know, can you be more specific about the savings and other hard benefits of consolidating fixed and mobile agreements on a regional or on a global basis? Barnaby, you want to take that one?
Yes. Well, we saw in the case study the customer presented back to us where their savings got to, which was about 31%. But obviously, every customer is different and every circumstance is different, so it's very difficult to band percentages around. But it's quite simple to have a very quick look and ask yourself if your procurement is country by country, and you may not have implemented any telecoms cost management, or you've got a contract that's 2 or 3 years old in various countries, or disproportionate termination dates, then you know you're going to make some savings, and those savings will be double-digit savings in that side of things. The other savings you'll see are going to come from and be dependent on how well your networks are capable of carrying voice. So you could move away from a traditional TDM to a single IP connection running your internet traffic and your voice services, or a managed version of that. So there are many different ways you can recognize that. But the savings and hard savings will come from removal of unwanted lines, unwanted hardware, saving space in offices, power, and things like that, as well as some of the core savings. And that's at the initial stages.
And with that, we've run out of time. My gosh, how an hour flies by. I want to thank our speakers today, Barnaby Atkinson, as well as JJ Juan, for a great presentation. Also want to thank all of you in attendance today. And for more information on today's topic, just visit either of those resource links that we're going to open up for you today. I want to thank you again for attending today's webcast, Fixed Mobile Convergence, Are You Ready to Transform Your Business? Brought to you by Vodafone Global Enterprise, Information Week, and UBM Tech. Shortly after we conclude here, you can access this webcast on demand by visiting www.informationweek.com/events. We will send you the link in a personalized email as well, so you can look for that in your inbox. Today's webcast is copyrighted 2013 by UBM Tech, and the presentation materials are owned by or copyrighted by Vodafone Global Enterprise and or Information Week, who are solely responsible for their content. Individual speakers are solely responsible for their content and their opinions as well. And finally, I'm Michael Krieger on behalf of our guests, Barnaby Atkinson and Juan Jose Juan. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.